smashed through thinly defended American lines. In the chaos, many Americans, like tanker John Marshall, are lost and surrounded by the advancing Germans.
We now were really on our own, hoping to find our platoon or anybody. We decided to pull off the road, and we debated what to do. So I says, I'm going to lower the gun so it looked like it was knocked out, because I don't want some son of a bitch rolling a hand grenade down the barrel. All night long, you could hear the Germans walking by, Achtung, kaputt, and all of that. They assumed that the tank was knocked out. The next morning, somebody saw us, whether it's the Germans or Americans, a shell come in. Hallier jumped onto the road, turned left, and started going down the main road. The next lane we came to, there is the only Tiger tank I ever saw. And on both sides of it were two smaller tanks. And I shot at it.
The German Tiger is a 63-ton monster, almost twice as heavy as a Sherman. It's protected in places by up to 4 inches of steel plate. The Tiger is one of the heaviest tanks on the World War II battlefield, with an 88mm main gun that can rip a Sherman to pieces. By comparison, the Sherman's a pea shooter. Its 75mm main gun has a short 10-foot barrel, producing a low muzzle velocity and a weak punch.
And you might just as well throw an orange at that wall here. It was so powerful. Why they didn't get us, I don't know. They had the whole broad side to hit. But we still kept going.
And so do the Germans. They must take the bridges over the Meuse River while overcast weather continues to ground Allied warplanes, and before the Americans bring up reinforcements. Just 20 hours into the attack, lead elements of the 5th Panzer Army are only 55 miles short of their objective, and have already pushed 5 miles into Belgium. The Germans reinforce their gains and throw more and more armor into the ever-deepening Bulge, including the elite 116th Panzer Division.
We were up on this hill. We didn't take the street, but drove across the fields and meadows because of all the mines. We were approximately 1,000 meters away, up on the hill. From up there, we saw this tank. This tank, with its small cannon, was barely a threat for us. Jokingly, we just called it a knocking device. And the Panther. The Panther that was standing next to me shot. This is from the first shot. The shell hit here and actually bounced back. So instead of a hit, it bounced up. It must have hit the tube, and when the tank fired, the barrel burst. Then the second shot was fired and hit the screws that are standing out here. And they fired for the third time.
The Panther's main gun has a long 18-foot barrel, enabling it to penetrate Sherman armor at ranges of up to 6,500 feet.
And this was how the tank got destroyed. It was burning inside, and then we proceeded with our advance.
When they throw that shell in there, that catches fire. Burns right up. And of course, everything that's in it, it hits the ammunition and everything. That's all fuel for the fire. My buddy that couldn't get out would be half in and out of the tank, and you'd see the fire gush up over him. You either go crazy, or you get a hold of yourself, and you straighten yourself up and you say, well, this is war, this is hell. I gotta get through it, and you get going.
So the 2 or 3 first days of the German attack, the Americans were totally exhausted with constant fighting day and night and so forth, and we're lacking supplies, and higher authorities, and there's nothing we can do here. Retreat. The Americans fall back towards Bastogne, a transportation hub, which includes roads to the all-important crossings along the Meuse River. Allied command issues orders. Hold Bastogne at any cost. The 101st Airborne Division is sent to reinforce the town. For 3 days, in the cold and snow and without air support, the 101st and remnants of the 10th Armored Division fight off repeated attempts by the Germans to take Bastogne. On December 19th, frustrated by the stubborn U.S. defense, the 5th Panzer Army's main armored force is ordered to bypass Bastogne and continue their advance toward the bridges on the Meuse River. Concerned that Bastogne will be encircled, Allied command orders General George Patton's 3rd Army to the rescue. Patton's forces are in France, 160 miles away. He orders an immediate mass movement of 3 divisions north to Bastogne. At the spearhead are 127 tanks of the 4th Armored Division.
And about 8:30 that night, I was told to be ready to move. About 50 minutes after midnight, heading north. He had to turn his army 90 degrees. That's when we went on to the Bulge. My tank and my battalion with the elite elements of Patton's 3rd Army to make this 161-mile approach march to Bastogne. The situation was absolutely unknown. We went all night, all day, snowy, icy roads. The weather was horrible. Bitter wind. The last night was under total blackout conditions. You can't imagine to have a black night and be traveling blackout. All the tanks had little things called cat's eyes in the rear. So the tank commander is looking at the tank in front of him at the cat's eyes. And that enables him to know where he's going and how much distance he is from the tank. But I was in the front tank and there were no cat's eyes in front of me. There was nothing. And we saw a sign that said, Neuf Chateau Bastogne. And we finally stopped.
32 Sherman tanks of the 8th Battalion reached the outskirts of Bastogne in less than 24 hours.
That was a tough march. It was the greatest mass movement of men in the shortest period of time in military history. But every tank made it.
But by the time they arrive, the Germans have already surrounded Bastogne. The Americans in the city are trapped. And across the Ardennes, so are many others, like tanker John Marshall, who's just trying to find his way back to friendly lines.
We were hoping to find our platoon or anybody we were moving, and as we moved up, I saw two guys come out from between the buildings and they walked down the road. They walked quite militarily. Max says to me, "Get him." And I didn't. For some reason, they weren't bothering anybody. I should have known better. I should have done what I was told. I didn't. And as they walked, they made a military left turn and went right between the barn and the house. They turned like it was on a signal, and at the end of that street, there's a tank there. And the minute they turned, that tank let the shot go, and he fires at us. It just went over. It missed the tank. Allier makes a hard left lever, and he goes down the lane. And as we go down, we could see a crowd surrendering. He looked like a kid. We knew something was wrong. As we go down, there's the two officers. And they jump up with the Panzerforce, and they fire at us.
Until the